Welcome to Cryptid Crossroads 505. I'm Larry.
And I'm Vince,
Welcome to the show.
where we talk all things cryptid,
Sasquatch,
aliens,
hauntings.
and anything paranormal you would like to share with us.
You can reach us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
So settle in, open your mind, and enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to Cryptid Crossroads 505. We're here doing it once again. Vince, give him a shout out.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the CCR 505 studios here in beautiful Albuquerque, New Mexico.
That's right. This is where we do it. Anyway, we're going to start off as usual. Chris,
Right.
There you go. Thank you. And you, Nickel Co., we're going to give you a shout out. There you go.
Now, we like to do this because this is a local here in the 505 in
That's right.
Albuquerque, and they're gracious enough to sponsor us a little bit.
That's
It
right.
works both ways. We're pushing them, they're pushing us.
That's right. And
Jennifer.
Jennifer's the one that, Jennifer Vieth, she sponsored us. And thanks, Jennifer. We're almost done with this bottle, so we said we do it till the bottle's out. So
Right.
I think you got one more episode. But anyway, thank you for doing it.
Thank you, guys. And we do the customary shot.
That's right.
Nobody told me these shot glasses were triple shots.
So
But hey, we're not quitters.
that's right.
And once again, we thank Chris for the decanter and the shot glasses. Once again, Chris is from the. He's not born in the 505.
No, my
Or
son
was he?
was, Chris was born in Indiana. He's a Hoosier.
Well, now Jimmy was born in Indiana,
No, Jimmy and Chris were
Okay.
both born in Indiana.
but they're 505 boys at heart.
That's right. Anyway,
Thank you
here's-
guys for this, and thank you for Nickel. And this is for you guys.
There you go. Ooh. A nickel. Wow.
Nickel for your thoughts. How about that? Whew.
Anyway.
I guess by the way we do our shots, maybe if you're familiar with the 505, you could tell we're from Gallup.
That's right. Anyway, we want to talk a little bit about the paranormal tonight.
Right. Now,
We always do Sasquatch.
and while that's our favorite, we love.
Of course,
Sasquatch.
that's our topic, but tonight we want to touch base on the paranormal.
Right, and the last time I was here, after we got off camera and mic, we started talking about the paranormal. We even went back and watched. What did we watch? Annabelle. Annabelle, and I went on. I rewatched The Conjuring. Now it's we've seen all these movies before, but they're supposedly based on real life events.
Right. And if you look at the Annabelle series, and we watched Annabelle, and, you look at how it began, and it started off with a man who builds dolls, but something happened to his daughter, and it goes on from there. And then goes on to The Conjuring and to The Nun, and it goes on and on and on, which, of course, I could see that possession would do, because if you get rid of one, a spirit, a demon, whatever, would want to take possession of another.
Okay, now let's go back to the builder, the one who made the Annabelle.
Right.
Was his daughter Annabelle?
Yes, that's what he built, the doll after his daughter Annabelle. Now, you remember she had some kind of, I don't want to say deformity. She would slip notes under the door and say,
Right.
"Daddy, find me."
Right. Now, on The Conjuring, was it The Conjuring?
The Conjuring,
No,
yes.
it was on Annabelle. At the beginning, where the hippies went in, they kind of portrayed it as like a cult, like the Charles Manson kind of cult.
Right.
They went in to kill. It was this girl. It was the man and wife's daughter. They say they lost her, but they lost her to a cult, and she went back to kill them with another guy. And the police came at the right time, and they killed the guy. And the girl, she was holding Annabelle when she committed suicide.
Yeah, well, and supposedly her spirit's the one that went into the doll.
Right. Now, that was my question. Was it her spirit or the builder's daughter's spirit, Annabelle?
I don't know. If we look at the movie, I take it that it was her when she died. Her spirit went into the doll.
Right. But if you watch these movies, they all have kind of a little different take. So
They do. So we really don't know what happened.
now, but if you're a fan of this series, let us know. Maybe you've seen them all and you've watched them over and over, and you have a better insight.
Yeah, let us know. But the thing for this is not a rare occurrence. I mean, we hear so many stories of this. I mean, people that die in places. Let's take Waverly Sanatorium, where people go in and they.
Right.
This was what was that? It was a cuckoo.
The sanatorium.
Yeah, it was where people were placed, and they said they were insane. Insane.
They did experiments on it.
Right, but they said they were insane, so they did experiments, and many people died in there. And who knows? Were they insane? Were they not? But they performed experiments on them. But a lot of people died in there, and a lot of spirits to this day still roam that property.
Right. Now, what gets me is we have a better understanding of mental health now. I'm not saying we have a grip on it, but we have a better understanding. And these people that were in these sanitariums, they were subjected to awful experiments,
right?
Because science was still learning about them.
Well,
when it could have been something as simple as autism or even schizophrenia, which today can be treated, and these people could live normal lives.
No, I mean, and they were removing your ribs because they thought because you had tuberculosis, let's take some ribs out.
Or else they'll stick balloons in your lungs.
And enlarge your lungs. Yeah, they did some wild things. Now, do I blame them? No, I don't, because we don't know. That's what they did in the name of science back then. But today we know better, and we look at it and we say, you're crazy. But because of those actions, a lot of people died, and there were a lot of spirits that just didn't want to cross over. Maybe, is that what, can we say that safely? They didn't want to cross over?
Or maybe they don't know how.
But they're stuck here, and from bar rooms to sanatoriums to parks, we see activity of paranormal.
And I'll expand on that to bathrooms. I told you about my experience in the
UNM hospital bathroom.
UNM hospital here.
Let's call it what it is. It was UNM hospital.
Right. Now I was in there all alone, and somebody was walking around behind me, but I could hear the footsteps.
That's right, and you told me that.
Yeah, but now what happened? Those experiments, it was an atrocity. You know, those people suffered.
I mean,
but let me ask you this: in the name of science, if we didn't start somewhere, would we have got to where we are?
No, we wouldn't have. But let me say this: you heard those footprints in the hospital.
Footsteps,
footprints, whatever.
You're thinking Squatch again?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm always thinking Squatch. Anyway, you heard, and it was at the time when our dad was in the hospital, and you went in the bathroom and you said, "Did you guys hear that?" I was like, "Hear what?" You're like, "Someone was in there with me." We're like, "No, you were in there alone."
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, look, we're in a hospital. How many people have passed in that place?
Right. But I mean, I'm a magnet for that stuff too. Like every house I've lived in, there's something going on.
Well, we both lived in a house where there was something going on.
But let's get back to the topic at hand, Annabelle.
Let's
That's what
do
we
that.
really wanted to discuss.
We did.
That's when we were talking about these movies, because they're all tied in together by Annabelle.
Well, let's go to where Annabelle is currently. That doll is locked up in Ed and Lorraine Warren's house. Last I heard, someone wanted to purchase that house.
Right. Now they passed away, right?
Right. Both of them have passed away, and that doll was kept in a glass case, and they said, "Do not touch, do not open." And there was reasons why they had those warnings on it. And if any of you are listening and following the movies Annabelle, that's why Ed Warren passed away. It was Lorraine Warren who was really responsible for helping these people develop these movies about Annabelle and the nun and all this. But they had the actual doll that was supposedly possessed, and it stood in that glass case. And I watched a YouTube series where she walked people through her property before she passed, and she took them into this room where they have all these little, I don't want to say knickknacks, but they're idols that were supposedly be possessed. And she said, do not touch any of them. Don't look at some of them, and definitely don't open cases.
Right. There's that brings me back to another show, Haunted Collector,
Right.
because they've done a lot of shows here in New Mexico. Now, hauntings in a house, people say it could be the property, it could be like when people remodel, but it could also be if you buy something at an estate sale. That's
Something
big.
could be.
That's big, estate sales.
Right. And here's the thing. It's called attachment. We don't know what we bring with us.
Right.
And I don't know what movie it was, but it was attachment, and it was a little box.
A little box.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've seen that one.
I'll think of it later, but so many things, and they
Right.
say be careful what you bring into your house, because you may bought it on sale at another person's house at a discounted rate, but you don't know what was attached to it.
And that brings me back to the Annabelle case, because the haunted collector, they would go and they would figure out what was causing the hauntings, and they would take a knickknack or something,
Right.
a mirror, something they had bought, and they would connect the dots. So they would take it away, and they kept it.
And certain things have attachments. And
Right.
And Ed and Lorraine Warren have one of the most extensive collections of items that were possessed with attachments, or just items that had demonic relationships to them.
But there's our real life stuff.
No,
too.
there's our real life, and it's not just Hollywood. Hollywood took what they had in reality and made movies out of what they've done.
Right.
Now we got to remember that what they've done, if once you walk through their museum and look at all the what's the word I'm looking for?
Artifacts.
Artifacts that they've housed in their house, and they've told you don't touch them.
And remember,
look at
the
'em.
Warrens, they collected their stuff before there was TV shows about it, and they went against the grain.
They did.
Like on the Conjuring, they actually perform the exorcism themselves.
They did, and they went against all the Catholic faith,
Right.
whatnot, because the Catholic Church would take months to even think about it. But they just said these people need help, and they did it immediately. And that's why they took the possessed artifacts and stored them where they did in their house. And the tour that Lorraine gave, I watched it, and I was like, holy shit, you can't touch or look at nothing. But they had so many I don't want to say thousands, it wasn't thousands, but they had several hundred.
It was a whole room, and the shelves were full.
And I guarantee you, I could count on African idols,
Right. A lot of
Annabelle.
stuff.
But the prized possession in there was the Annabelle doll.
Now, I want to go back to my childhood. I don't know if you knew this, but we had a neighbor down the road. Now, she had a spiritual lady visit her, and she had stuff in her house. Like there was I'm guessing it's from Africa. It was black. The hair, it was a woman, and the hair was like in braids around with gold.
Right.
She's sitting there with her palms out. It was an incense holder.
Okay.
And there was another big statue. But anyway, this lady went to our neighbor's house and said, You need to get those out of your house. Those are bad.
No, I don't know. Who was that?
I don't know who the lady was, but it was our neighbor.
Get that.
No. Between Kathleen and the drug house, you know.
Hold on. Shit, I don't know.
I'm trying not to say her name.
Well, I don't
Chucky
know.
Pie.
Oh.
But anyway, when they're getting rid of that, I saw those and I asked if I could have a few of them. I took them home. And she told Mom about them, but...
Oh, now I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Forgive me, people.
Yeah, but I kept them until I joined the Navy. And I'm wondering, does that have anything to do with what I go through, what my daughter goes through? Because
No.
every house I lived in, there's something.
It doesn't,
Something.
because let me tell you, if that's a source, let me tell you. Before I deployed, like I told you, I met someone when I was here in Albuquerque. Lo and behold, I live in the same city I deployed in, and everyone we've told them we're from the Gallup area. But the night before I deployed into boot camp, they do what's called a swearing in and for the military and MEPS, and we started doing just drinking around the table, and we did what's called a Ouija board. And there was this guy that I don't even know where he's from. I never saw him again, but he said, "You guys want to do a Ouija board?" We did paper numbers, A through alphabet numbers, and we spread them out like Ouija board. And he found a crystal glass, and we played. He said, "The crystal glass is good," and it was. It did exactly what he wanted it to do. That's the first time I ever messed with that stuff. Now, the second time I did that, I was already in the Navy. I did boot camp, whatnot. We were in Chicago. I was in Chicago, and I was in the Great Lakes doing my A school, as they call it, for the Navy. And we did the same thing we did. We did a Ouija board made out of we cut squares, ABC numbers, and that time it wasn't so good. I had really bad vibes. I felt like I had hauntings. The Ouija board gave me bad information. So according to that Ouija board, I shouldn't be here today. But I am.
Now, are we really here?
Yeah, who knows? But, that it frightened me so much. When we did it, there was such a dark presence in that room when we did it. And we said, "Who are you?" And it spelled out the name Satan. And that's what freaked me out the most. So the rest of the night, it was like, I said, no, I'm done. I felt there was a dark presence all around me. The only thing that got rid of that dark presence is I really started to pray. Of course, I was a young kid at that time. I had just turned 18, and I was born and raised Catholic, so I just started to pray, doing the Our Fathers and whatnot, asking. But I can't explain to you the darkness that was around me and what I felt. And people would say I'm probably full of shit, but I'm not. There was a true cloud of darkness around me that night that we were playing that Ouija board. And I can't explain what. You'd have to live it yourself.
Right. And a lot of people who've never experienced that, they'll especially the scientific crowd, oh, it's all in your mind. The brain is a powerful thing.
Well, that's what the scientific crowd wants to say. They want to say it's due to an abnormality in your brain, and they want to give you Thorazine, which will make you just have the same feelings, but you're so out of it, you pass out.
Right. And just like they say, like these people who have died but been revived, and a lot of people say they've went to heaven or other places, they've seen things. They're like, no, it's just your mind tricking you.
That's what they say. But me, I'm still alive. I'm still here today. It wasn't that.
But see, like I've heard different theories, like on dreams. A lot of the dreams replay stuff you've been or scenarios you've thought about.
How could I say, look, how could I say this was a dream when it really happened to me?
Right. No, and that too. But I'm getting back to the dream
No,
thing.
I get
where,
it.
how could you dream of something you never knew about, never thought about?
Well, I mean, that's a subconscious mind doing what it does. But
I mean, your subconscious mind usually replays stuff that you've been through. And that's why your dreams involve people you know.
It does. But like I'm telling you, when I did that, there was such a darkness that enveloped me that I was frightened. I prayed to God that this would go away. And it did. As I kept praying and praying, the sun rised and I felt better. From that day on, I would not mess with the Ouija board. I wouldn't want. Take it 30 years later, as I'm married to my wife now, we found our kids in their room with the Ouija board. They're saying, no, we bought it at Toys R Us, and Toys R Us sold Ouija boards like crazy. But for them, too bad for them. I walked into the room and I saw them playing with the Ouija board. I took it, I ripped it up, I shredded it, and I threw it in the trash. I said, if it comes back into this house, which sometimes it does, depending on the possession, but in my house it didn't, because at that time I was full of prayer, trying to be a good Christian man. That's right. That's what I did. But if it would have came back in, I would have thrown that shit right back out.
Right.
I would have burned it. And that's basically what I did. I ripped it up in front of them and I said, don't ever bring this into the house, because of what I experienced.
Right. No, it's all tied together. I got home one day from work, and my daughter had friends over, and downstairs in the living room, one of her friends was there doing tarot card
reading.
Yeah, and I'm like, nope, not here.
Nope.
I don't think so.
No, that shit's just the same as a Ouija board.
It opens up portals.
It does. And for those of you that are listening and you don't believe, reach out to us. Tell us why.
Right.
Because from my experience, it does.
And my experience too. And like I said, I took those, I guess you could call them idols from our neighbor,
Right.
which a spiritual advisor said she shouldn't have them in their house, and they're throwing them out. And that's why I asked. And I don't know why my parents let me have them, but I did. No. But I had other questionable stuff in my room. I had the what is it? The black velvet painting of a topless girl. You know, a typical teenager. Maybe not so typical, but I had that shit. And did that open something that? I'm a magnet to this shit. No, because I've been through a lot of that. You know,
what really opens, as what I found out, is your belief in what you think is.
Well, see, I got that when I was young, and like you, I was raised Catholic.
Of course,
we had that, but there was a very dark period in my life, and I'll go ahead and say it started when I was in the military. Because, do you have time to go to church? When you're going to school, you do.
Yes.
But over there, no, and you fall into.
Well, let me
really
put it
black
this way.
Lifestyle. You could.
Well, and here we go, people. On the rail. My lifestyle, as you know, was dark. I was in, for a minute, I got into dirty things. Didn't mean I was going to church. When I did go to church, I didn't care if I was in church. I still went and did what I did in that church. To me, it didn't matter, because I was like, you know what? This is a building. God doesn't live here. God lives everywhere.
Right.
I had a whole different thought process of what God was and what God is not. And when I had evil in my life, and I did have it for a period of time, it took me places that no one else could go. And if you're listening to this, maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't. Maybe you'll never understand. When you have certain inhibitions that are released, you're going to go places that people would never expect you to go. Now, I was always looked at as a go-getter and a person that did this, but there was a period in my life where let's say, just held hands with the devil.
Right.
And it took me places I didn't want to go.
Right.
And I did some of that bullshit while people were in church doing mass. Did that affect me? We're looking back at the Annabelle case. No, I didn't care. It was like the Annabelle doll. I just wanted to possess something, do something.
Now, we both had similar avenues we went through where, I'll say, we strayed from God.
Right.
Now, it was at different times.
Everyone strays from God.
Right. It was at different times. And I'm not trying to talk bad or nothing about what I've been through, because my experiences shaped me to what I am today.
And that's what I say.
But when I was in the military, that's when it started, because they make things like alcohol readily available at a young age. Then I was stationed overseas. Now, if you know any sailors, you talk, you hear them talk about these places they visited,
Right.
and these places were off the hook crazy. It was basically Sodom and Gomorrah.
It was.
But getting back to that, these people you talk to, they visited. Oh man, I went there for 3 days. I was there for 4 years straight,
Right.
in the thick of it, and that's when I strayed. And it's not that God wasn't there; it's that I turned my back on Him because, let's have a good time, and that's what ties me back to those idols I took, because then I joined the military, blah blah blah, and I was put in certain situations. Now I believe we always have a choice. It's free will. That choice is put.
It is.
And I took the wrong path. Now I'll tell you, I'm not praising the wrong path. It seemed like an amazing time. It was great, but I look back and I'm like, oh man, how many people did I hurt?
So here's what we're saying. We want to talk about the Annabelle doll,
but it's tied in with the evil.
We're kind of leading into how the Annabelle doll was evil, but we're letting you know through our own experience, the Annabelle doll just spreads in so many circumstances and so many.
Right. Now what we're all getting back to is evil and how it infiltrates you, and that's how the Annabelle thing started.
And it did.
And it infiltrated our life. I've never said this before, but my ex-wife was a good person. She's religious, trying to set me on the right path. I'm the one who killed shit.
Well,
at the beginning.
No, it's not you.
No. At the beginning.
No, it's any person that allows it.
And I allowed it because I strayed.
Well.
And then you look back on your life and you're like, those are great times, but I was an idiot.
And I strayed. So let's just look at every human being on this earth strays. But that Annabelle doll had power. It did what it did.
Right. And that brings me to that point. When we strayed, that was our time of weakness. And that's why, like the Annabelle doll, that's when they prey on you.
Of course. When you're at your weak. That's exactly right.
And it all started with those idols that supposedly I wasn't supposed to have. I joined the military, and they made the path to stray from God very easy. I took it. It's like electricity. You take the least path of resistance, because living a good life is not easy.
No,
but you have to choose it.
But
anyway, that took me full circle to all the evil I went through, and just like the Annabelle, it's your choice. But if you choose that, there's somebody waiting to take you.
Now, all our listeners, know what he went through.
No, I'm saying.
No,
it's a life lesson. I went through things. I took the easy path. I took the pleasure over, the pain.
But how did you take the easy path if you had to go through that bullshit?
Well, shall I say I took the seductive path. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, it's never easy. I mean, I've been through it. You've been through it, and yes. So there's real evil out there, and we just want you.
Right, and I wanted to share my story because in the Annabelle movie, supposedly the daughter and the other member of the cult, they were in a different path. They thought it was the right path at the time.
They did,
but when we're growing up, we thought our path was okay also.
We did.
But like you said, many people we've talked to, hindsight
is 20/20.
And I look back, I'm like, you know what? I did some awful things. I never. I will always say this: I never did anything to anyone against their will. But I did some horrible things. But people were put in a horrible situation.
Well, I'm thinking I need to cut him off right now because he's getting into legal grounds.
No. Well, no, it's just it all ties into how evil enters your life.
And I get it. I get it. Yes, I do. But here's the basic point we're talking about. There is pure evil out there. It happens. Hollywood makes a mockery of it because
they glamorize
it. Because if it were to happen to you, you would definitely want that. You would not want that put out, even in a movie or anything. But Hollywood says, we'll give you money for it and let us do it. And they've done it from The Exorcist on.
Up to Annabelle.
And The Exorcist was a little boy, not a girl. And yeah, Hollywood's going to give you money so that they could do your movie.
Well, all these horror movies, whether they're good or not, there's usually a grain of truth behind them.
There's a grain of truth. But the grain of truth is far more wider than people think. People think this is just, it happened to them, happened to so many more people that people don't realize.
Right.
Think about it. Think about when you die yourself, where are you going to go?
Right. Now, when you die, getting back to that girl who killed herself with the Annabelle doll.
Right.
Now, at the time, she thought she's doing the right thing, but she was young. Now, I think back when we were young, I thought, man, when we were that age, we thought we knew it all. And now I look back, I'm like, we were just idiots. We were. Now, that brings me back to this whole experience. I've lived, I lived a crazy life. I'm lucky I'm still alive. And he could attest to that with his life because we chose the reckless path. It was just total rebellion because we had two wonderful parents who brought us up right. It's just we were put in situations where we could take the bad path, and we did because we were having fun, correct?
Yeah,
but
I still take the bad path.
Right. No, not always. But anyway, to get back to that now, I'm a very different person.
Yes.
I listen to Christian radio, but to get back to everything, damn it, I lost my train of thought.
There you go. Anyway, he's a whore.
No, but I've changed my life. Okay, my point was I listened to Catholic radio because I like it. What I really like is they share scriptures, and I'm a different person than I was. And they talk about they tie it into lifestyles today. I'm like, man, I was bad. I was bad.
I'm going to edit this shit out because you know what? He's full of shit.
No. It ties in with the evil.
It does.
I'm saying,
okay,
I've changed because I lived the bad life.
And he has.
But my thing is now I'm like, wow, you know.
We'll take the evil back to where he lived in the house we both lived.
Right. No, but, you know, there's a balance of good and bad. And
There
sometimes
is.
we don't see it.
There is. Anyway, that's what we wanted to share with you tonight.
Yeah, no, I wanted to kind of tie in the Annabelle and the evilness and how you could take the path and how I took that path, even though he's more sedate and then he wants to cut it out, whatever.
No, I don't want to cut it out because that's what it was. Anyway, we're going to talk to you later.
Right, and hopefully he'll give me more freedom to speak.
Peace. Peace. Hey, thanks for watching.
We hope all you YouTubers enjoyed the show.
That's right. And don't forget to reach out to us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
Peace.
Peace.